On West Bremer Radio, it's 8:11, was one of the most popular segments. Go historyouthere.com, historyouthere.com, and there's lots of old stories, a lot of local stories, and this man knows his stuff. It's Harold the H. Peacock-a-doodle-doo. And he's going to talk about the temperance movement, and it did some good stuff during the war. Let's talk to Harold. G'day, H.
Yes, good morning, Danny. Yeah, the temperance movement's been big in Ipswich for 170 plus years. So I'm not surprised there's a story come out of Ipswich about this one.
Wow, well, let's hear the story. Oh, my phone.
Oh, sorry about that, Harold. It's just Danny, you know.
You tell the story. I've got to answer. It's my dad.
Okay, it might be Mr. Trump calling, but anyway, the story here is actually some feedback from last week's story that I told about the Irishman, Thomas Lehane, whose name is misspelled on the Anzac memorials at Laidley and Forest Hill. You see, people ask me, who was it that cared enough about Lehane to give him a job at the Canberra Hotel in Brisbane, even though he was quite visibly an alcoholic? Well, that person was William Harris Watson Jack.
Get out.
Now, Jack was... Yeah, now his name... he was manager of the Canberra Hotel at the time.
Right.
But why would he give an alcoholic a job there? That really makes sense to some people. Well, it was Jack's way of helping Lehane, or giving Lehane a hand up. You see, the Canberra Hotel was owned and operated by the Queensland Temperance League.
Wow.
And Jack was its general secretary.
Wow.
Now, the organisation today is known as Drug Arm, and they're still helping people, including right here in Ipswich. In fact, this year is its 175th anniversary. They're still going strong. But there's more to the story of William Jack than giving a man a job.
Will you tell us, because Stuart Marshall is listening and he wants to know.
Yeah, well, it's during the Second World War, Jack made enormous contributions to Australia's war effort at home. You see, he led the organisation in supplying refrigeration for non-alcoholic drinks on Royal Australian Navy ships and Australian Army canteens. He also established the Brisbane Hostel for soldiers on leave. Wow. And he dedicated the top 3 floors of the Canberra Hotel to accommodate American sailors off the submarines. So in short, William Jack and his wife Roberta, through the Queensland Temperance League, dedicated their lives to helping others.
Wow.
But that doesn't fully explain why he was just so supportive of the war effort. Well, the fact is that all 4 of his sons served in the Second World War. And he could see each of them in the faces of every single soldier, sailor and airman who walked into his Canberra Hotel. You see, Jack's 4th son, Horace, served in New Guinea and in the Australian Army, including with the 1st Australian Parachute Battalion. His 3rd son, William, served as a Morse code operator in the Royal Australian Navy aboard various ships throughout the war. His 2nd son, Robert, served in the RAAF in Northern Australia, New Guinea, and with the occupation forces in Japan. Jack's oldest son, Douglas, also served with the RAAF. He enlisted, or before he enlisted, he married Miss Olive Bow. Now, Olive's auntie was a tennis champion here in Ipswich, and her father was a head teacher at various schools, including at Millbong, just south of here in the Scenic Rim.
Millbong.
Now, Douglas, that's right, Millbong. Now, Douglas went from the RAAF to an RAF bomber squadron in England. In December 1941, he was reported missing in a raid over Dunkirk. Now, he was never seen again, so a year later, Jack's oldest son, Douglas, was presumed killed in action. Now, at that exact time that the news was coming through to Australia, Jack gave Thomas Lehane, the Irishman, who had served in 2 world wars, he gave him the lifeline of a job at the Canberra Hotel. So it's amazing how these things work out, because Jack was grieving for his oldest son and helping Thomas Lehane at the very same time.
These are...
It's just great man.
Great facts, mate. Just we've forgotten facts. A lot of things are forgotten, aren't they? You know, we forget so quickly these days.
Well, it's forgotten, but also it's uncovering. You don't know what else you're going to find, because during the research, I also found out that Jack's wife, Roberta, is from the Topfer family, whose cousin Bruce Topfer continued the family's military history. You see, he served in both the Korean and Vietnam Wars and was awarded an OBE.
Oh.
And interesting to me, he's also a cousin of my father, which was a total surprise to me. So you don't know what you're going to
Inbreeding
uncover.
going on in the Peacock family. The peacocks have been jumping on other peacocks.
Yeah, but it's all by accident. I didn't know what was going to happen. And, but it's thanks to those mistakes on the war memorials out at Laidley and Forest Hill and at Irishman being helped to his feet. I would never have found out about my dad's cousin marrying into this family.
Isn't that wonderful, eh? Mate, you do a great job. We appreciate it. And you also heard on 4WK. When's that, Damien?
That's each Tuesday morning.
Tuesday morning at about what time?
Around about 7:45.
7:45. You can hear Harold the H. Peacock. Historyouthere.com. There's so many stories, interesting stories about Ipswich, local stories, and we appreciate your time. The Professor, the H, Ark Peacock. Thank you, mate.
Thanks, Danny.
There we go. Interesting story.
Oh, he's very good.
Very
and he
good.
builds a story. Storytelling's an art.
It is.
Blaney Roberts was a brilliant storyteller.
Yes, and I like the research as well.
He done the research and found out that some peacocks had visited other peacocks.
Scary thought. We should take a break.